the goal is to lift the most amount of weight possible. And you'll see people take a variety of, this is across all lifts, but I think it's most obvious on bench press that people take a variety of kind of paths to get to that point. So a closer grip bench typically is using more tricep, and a wider grip bench is going to use more pec and kind of front delt, so shoulder. And so you will see some folks that opt for a narrower grip because they are more comfortable in that position, or because they have really strong triceps compared to their other muscle groups, and that just seems to work better for them. And there's no extra points for pressing the bar further. The only limitation is that you have to have your you can't be any wider than your pointer finger covering the power rings, which are 81 centimeters apart. So like this person, Eileen Brazoka, you can see the power rings are pretty far outside of her pinky finger, so she has a lot of space that she could widen her grip on, but it looked like she's strongest in that position.
You mentioned a lot of really good points. There are no extra points, and some things to consider are, what is our range of motion going to be? A lot of times we try to minimize the most amount of work that we can possibly do. Work is equal to force times distance, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can reduce that distance, we are technically doing less work. Mm-hmm. We do come into positions where maybe we are wider, but we don't have the mobility or flexibility inside of our shoulders, so that's not a very strong position for some individuals, which is why they opt for that more narrow grip.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Or some people have like chronic pec problems that if they widen their grip too much, they start to get injuries that happen. But for the most part, you want to have the most efficient. You want to have the most efficient range of motion, which for a lot of people is wide grip, high arch. So you'll see a lot of people arching their back on the bench, and that really is a way to reduce the range of motion, because this is powerlifting, and that's the goal, is to lift the most amount of weight possible. But also it is a really good way to protect the shoulders by retracting the scapula and kind of tucking the shoulders back, instead of having there be a lot of internal rotation of the shoulder and just a lot of strain and torque put on the shoulder joint.
Really a lot of good notes, Natalie. I mean, just awesome. And you know what I really like is the fact that you definitely know what you're talking about, and it's helpful to understand the biomechanics, because I think people see powerlifting and they see, oh man, these people are contorting their bodies in all sorts of ways. There's no way that can be okay. But in reality, so long as you're working on your mobility, your flexibility, and then maintaining a good quality program, then you really can be in the sport for the rest of your entire life, really, as long as we do it correctly, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do see some like contortionists, right? Like there are some really big benchers that get a really high arch, and they only press the bar like 1 or 2 inches, and they get a lot of criticism on the internet, mostly. From powerlifters, it's generally not criticized, because we all understand how impressive it is to be able to get into that position and still produce enough force to press a bar, press 100 kilos or something like that. But it can look a little like, it can look silly from the outside, and we understand that as powerlifting, and we recognize that there are some unique things about our sport that maybe the general public doesn't understand.
And I think as the sport continues to grow, it's going to be more and more important that we have people who are not just commentating, but are in the social media world that can kind of talk about what's going on. So I know that we have the opportunity for podcasts that are around.
Absolutely.
And I think the 3 White Lights is the name of the podcast here.
2 white lights.
2 white lights.
Because that's all you need.
That's all you need. There you go. Efficiency, right?
Yep.
So Miss Gretchen needed to get a red light on her national record that she is trying to attempt at 116 kilos. She had a small hitch up right about the transition point between the middle of that bench, so where the shirt will give us an immediate lift off the chest and kind of guide that bar a little bit further back towards the eyes, and it is her responsibility, her taxing on the triceps for her to continue to lock out that movement. Mm-hmm. So
We had one successful American record over here on platform 2, Diane Nelson with 69 kilos, and then Celeste missed an American record attempt of 78.5. And then we just saw Christy Rice successful with 85 kilos, and next up is Charlene with 92.5. And this is rounding out flight A attempts, and then we will move on to flight B attempts.
So Miss Claire went ahead and jumped 5 kilos, and she is now at 117.5, which she just completed. And you were right, Miss Jennifer Thompson made a pretty big jump here. She went from 125 to 140 kilos.
Wow.
That is a massive,
33
massive
pounds.
Yeah.
Yep. So she will probably, you'll probably see her work a little bit harder with 140. Let's see. She gets a press command. Oh wow,
gosh,
that actually looked smoother than I would have expected.
Wow.
So I would bet that Jen is going to go for some, probably an open American record on her third. We'll see what number she puts in. I think it's probably got to be like 143 or 143.5, but
15 kilos.
we'll stay tuned for what she jumps to.
A 15 kilo jump on even a squat or a deadlift
Yeah.
is insane. You know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
She is doing it on bench.
Mm-hmm.
What an animal. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And here we are starting our third attempts at bench. We have pretty much everyone is safe, clear in for a total here. Next we have Sue Burns attempting her last here with 55 kilos on the bar.
It looks like we had some either there's a misload on platform 2, or there's an attempt change that's not showing in lifting cast yet, but they have 95 kilos on the bar, but the scoreboard says 92.5. So we're gonna see what's going on here in a second.
Sue gave it her best shot, but just didn't come quite off the chest. I think a little bit of a missed groove, came a little bit too far forward towards the cranium, or towards the head.
Mm-hmm.
So then next we have Miss Debbie Bachman, who is attempting 57.5 kilos.
Okay, yeah. So the bar load is back down to 92.5. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. They shouldn't ever be in a situation where the bar load is going down, because once it's loaded, it's loaded. But perhaps there was a miscommunication on an attempt change, that resulted in a little bit of a slowdown here. But we have Charlene taking 92.5, which is 203 pounds on her third attempt. Wow, that was beautiful. Really impressive press off the chest, because she did get held for a couple seconds on her chest. And then she still was able to sort of re-engage and generate some momentum to press it out. So that was fantastic. And we now move on to flight B on platform 2.
Debbie went ahead and had some red lights on that bar, so 57.5 was a failed attempt, but we do have Miss Brady Killian coming up with another 57.5 kilos. What a good grind all the way through, and a fairly even lockout. Are uneven lockouts something that are called?
No, so uneven lockouts are allowed as long as there's no downward motion. So if you lock out your right arm and your left is still, your left elbow is still bent, as long as your right elbow doesn't unlock and relock, you can finish with your left. So you will see some people sort of have an uneven execution, and that can be just due to positioning. It can be due to like an imbalance, and a lot of times those muscular imbalances you'll see show up when we're at these maximal loads, right? When we're at like a 96, 97, 98, or over 100% of the 1 rep max on PR attempts, you'll see, something kind of like some technique breakdown that's totally normal and expected. So yeah, it is allowed. It used to not be allowed. You'd used to have to lock out evenly. But I think that they've determined that was an unnecessary limitation on the lifting.
Nicole was successful in her attempt of 62.5 kilos, and Joy Black is here next?
And on platform 2, we had Kristen Bilata unsuccessful with 57.5 on her opener. And then now we have Gretchen up with 75, followed by Marie, and then Michelle Kane with 90 kilos. So we are getting quickly into the 200 plus or 90 kilo plus range here on this in the second flight. I believe I see some names on this list that I believe will be equipped benchers, but we will soon see once they come out on the platform.
You mentioned some stuff here with the head judge calling, giving those commands. What do the side judges look for, Natalie?
Yeah, so the side judges are looking mostly at the watching to see if the butt stays in contact with the bench, watching to make sure that the feet stay on the floor flat, and there's also something that depending on where the side refs are sitting, but it's usually primarily the head ref that's looking at the whether or not the head stays on the bench. So you have to keep your head, your butt, and your feet all in contact, like in the same position in contact with either the floor or the bench the entire time of the lift.
Very cool.
Yep. So Marie was successful with 85. We had 2 missed openers here, assuming these folks will just repeat their openers on their second because they were both raw lifters. You generally don't see somebody miss and then go up in weight when it comes to raw lifting. On the equipped side, you definitely see that happen where somebody might miss their opener and go up, because with equipment, there's a small margin of with equipped bench, with what you can touch your chest with and what you can press out. And so some folks can't touch their chest with, what would be considered an opener, and they may come out and miss their opener because they had a hard time getting to their chest, and then they can go up 5 kilos and it looks smooth as butter. So that's a nuance about equipped lifting that you definitely don't see in the raw division.
There are so many variables. It's a very technical sport, but especially when you add that geared on there, the amount of variables that are in play make a huge difference. And the craziest thing, altitude will make you bloat, or and that changes the way your gear fits, or you had more or less salt in a day, and that will change the way your gear fits. And so there's little nuances like that having a good handler and having a good coach makes a huge difference.
For sure. I think one interesting nuance I was thinking about was last year we were in Daytona, Florida at this time for nationals, and it was so humid. It was like the air was wet. And we're in Vegas, which is like a desert this year. And so the difference between those two climates is pretty substantial. Even though it was hot in Daytona and it's hot in Vegas, it's dry here. And so with equipped lifting, it makes it easier when the air is dry. It's easier to get your equipment on completely versus when it's humid and your skin is sticky. It can be hard to get your suits set in place. So that's just something to consider when you're an equipped lifter and you are lifting and competing in a different climate than you're used to.
Leah went ahead and got a successful attempt at 92.5 kilos. She made a 2.5 kilo jump. And then we had Rachel also make a 2.5 kilo jump and hit 95 kilos. And then last we have Stephanie, who is up now.
And on platform 2, we have Trinity is benching 90 kilos on her opener. Looks like a good lift. See what the judges say. Yep, 3 white lights for Trinity. We had a cluster of openers here at 90. There was 4 openers in this flight at 90 kilos. So a lot of these ladies are going to be benching over 200 pounds, getting close to 100 kilos, which is that next milestone here today.
And Stephanie did not successfully complete her 102.5 attempt, but it was a solid attempt.
We have Misty Elliott, not to be confused with Missy Elliott, taking 90 kilos on her opener. That's a pretty cool name. I wouldn't mind having that myself.
That's a pretty slick name for sure.
Oh yeah, that was an easy opener for Misty.
110 kilos on the bar for Bella Johnson. Do you know if Bella and Bella and Jennifer are related? Both last name Thompson. Thompson and Johnson. Just kidding.
Close.
Just
neighbors.
Yeah.
We have Dawn Dotson up with 95 kilos on her opener.
A successful 110 kilo bench. That is a massive raw bench for Miss Bella Johnson.
Yeah, wow. It's very impressive.
And she's in the 67 and a half kilo weight class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is almost double her body weight, guys. That is insane.
Yeah. So Dawn is getting a handoff here with the 95.
Do you get to select your own handoffs, Natalie?
Looks like a good lift for Dawn. No. So one thing that sets USA Powerlifting apart is that everybody has to have the same handoff person, and this can be a point of contention because that what one handoff being good for somebody does not necessarily mean it's good for other people. So you'll see a lot of lifters come out and give like a 1 to 2 sentence set of instructions to the handoff person so that they make sure that they get the handoff exactly how they want it. But no, everybody has to have the same handoff person, and if there's an issue with the handoff person, they sometimes will change that person out, but everybody has to get a different person at that point. So they have to change it for the whole flight of lifters. So yeah, you'll see the same person coming up on each attempt doing the handoffs, and you won't see personal coaches or handlers coming out like you will in maybe some other federations.
Gretchen completed her 116 kilo bench for the national record.
Wow. She missed it on her second, right?
She missed it on her first and her second, came back and
What?
hit on her third and smashed it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We have Winona successful with 97.5. That's 214 pounds. And next up is Christy Stickley with 110 kilos. That is 242 pounds. So more than 2 plates in the commercial gym you all train at.
Miss Brains unfortunately missed her lift. She made a 7 kilo jump there, 7.5 kilo jump, which is a very fat jump from her 5 the previous attempt, and unfortunately missed it, but it was a solid attempt.
We have Tammy Walker coming up with a 120 kilo raw opener. Tammy is a very successful equipped bench presser, but she's also got a really strong raw bench. I haven't seen her compete in the last couple of years, so it could be that she was taking some time during COVID, or I maybe just have been out of the loop, but Tammy is incredibly strong. So here we'll see her make probably pretty easy work of 120 kilos, which is 264 pounds. And Tammy's a master's competitor. I don't know what master's division it is, but she is a master's competitor as well.
Claire smashed 122.5 kilos. Just made it look like butter. Yeah,
Claire's looking really strong for her competition on Friday. She'll be in the primetime session on Friday.
What time does that primetime session start?
I believe it starts at 6 p.m. Vegas time. As long as all the primetime sessions start at the same time. So I think they weigh in at 4 and start lifting at 6. So Tammy had a little bit of a hiccup on her setup. Something about the way that the blocks were set up. The head ref didn't like it. I think they were set up to run into the foot of the bench, and that's, I guess, not allowed. So they had to adjust that. She had to set back up for her opener. She still crushed it. So you want your opener to be something that you can easily do under any circumstances. So if you come out for your opener and the head ref stops you and makes you get off the bench and set back up, you want to be able to be confident enough that you can do that and still succeed. So that was a good opener for Tammy.
And here we go with Jennifer Thompson attempting 146 kilos on the bar.
Wow.
And
no
so close.
Lift.
Missed it at that halfway point. She was attempting a national record. She made the 6 kilo jump, and unfortunately was maybe next time. Next time.
I wonder if 146 was, if that was more than she needed for a record, or I don't know. I can't keep track of all of those.
There's so many.
Natalie Richards is successful with 120 kilos on her opener. Also a successful equipped bench presser, but is competing raw today, it appears. I believe she's also competing later in the week in the full 3 lift division as well.
And we are starting our second flight here on platform number 3, starting with Ann Whitmarsh with 37.5 kilos.
And we have May Tai on platform 2 with 125 kilo opener. That's 275 pounds. Wow, that was so fast. It looked like nothing to her. So I'm excited to see what she finishes with today.
I missed it. I wish I would have watched.
Dang. Yeah, it was very speedy.
And just like I was saying earlier, you can do this to late in your days. And we have Miss Ann Whitmarsh, who is one of our Masters competitors, and she's still on the platform and in equipment.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Fairly narrow grip and easy press.
Nothing. Looked like air.
Looked like air.
Here is Amanda Dahl with 132.5 kilos on her opener. She gets her arch set. She takes a pretty wide grip here. I think it looks like she's kind of maxed out on the grip. That handoff looked a little iffy. It looked like the handoff person was uneven. No, Amanda did not get the bar off her chest. So the handoff is super crucial, especially for really, really technically refined lifters, because all those details matter. And so it looked like when Amanda took the handoff person kind of got the bar free from the right hook first, and then the left was after, and so the bar kind of came out at an angle to her, and she was sort of correcting it. I hope that they can clean that up on the second attempt. It could be that the handoff person just wasn't ready for 132.5 kilos if they've been handing off 90 kilos up until this point, or it could be that Amanda just has a very specific need, and it's hard for some random spotter who doesn't know her to successfully execute that handoff. So we'll see if that gets cleaned up.
We have a failed attempt from Serena Thomas on platform number 3 with 77.5 kilos. And next we have Shelly Brown attempting 85 kilos on platform 3. Same thing on this side, a little bit uneven of a handoff. She is with no wrist wraps and in a shirt. That is insane.
Yep. And Kristen Bilotta was successful with 57.5 on her second attempt. She missed it on her opener, so I'm glad to see her come back and get that. And the next person, Gretchen, was also missed her opener and hopefully can come back and get this on her second so she can stay in the meet. One rule about powerlifting is you have to have a successful attempt in each discipline, squat, bench, and deadlift, or if you're bench only, you have to have one successful bench attempt in order to score for that day. So if you miss all 3 bench presses for no matter what reason you miss them for, you get what's called bomb out, and you get a 0 on your total. You cannot be in contention to medal or get any. Oh, she jumped the start command. Oh no. So she got the handoff, and before she got the start command, she brought the bar to her chest. And so Johnny Graham, who's the head referee, just basically there's nothing they can do at that point. They have to just let the person miss, I believe. So the spotters ended up taking it. And so she missed her second attempt at 75, Gretchen, and hopefully can get some instruction. I hope someone's back there telling her to wait for her start command, so that she can successfully bench 75 on her third attempt and stay in the meet.
Sometimes you come to these national meets as a novice lifter, and it's intense. I mean, you're traveling from across the nation to get somewhere, and having to get a new hotel, or getting a hotel, going through the entire process of finding food, what you can and can't eat. And sometimes you forget your luggage, or the airport forgets your luggage, and they lose things. It's a stressful time. And so being on stage, on the platform with everyone listening and watching, family, friends, and then your own pressure you can put on yourself can, sometimes make you forget about those commands.
Yeah, absolutely. I have definitely jumped commands in my lifting career, just out of feeling nervous and like kind of rattled on the platform, and then just forgetting that that's a detail that I need to follow. So it's very common for new lifters to forget that part of it. We have 95 kilos on the bar for Isis. Yeah, good second attempt bench. I'm surprised they're letting her wear her hair down. So there is a rule that long hair has to be tied up, and she has very long hair and it's down. So the reason for that is, one, I think it allows the spotters to not have to worry about stepping on their hair, but also it makes it easier for the head ref to see the head, like if the head lifts off the bench. So technically that's Johnny Graham, the head referee's responsibility to notify the lifter that they need to tie their hair up, but she has come out for 2 attempts and he hasn't said anything, so we'll see.
We have almost all of our B lifters, our flight 2 lifters, have received a green or a all white lights on their attempts for their openers.
Nice.
We had another successful attempt here with Trish Home at 90 kilos. Next we have Melanie with 107.5. Following her is Charlene with 110, and we're going all the way up to 150 kilos.
Wow.
Just 2 attempts after that. We do have Jennifer Thompson lifting again at 137.5 kilos.
So she's competing in the raw and equipped divisions, I believe. Because typically Jen Thompson's bench is so big that she typically wins even the equipped division without a shirt on. That's just a testament to how strong her bench is.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Misty Elliott is successful with 95 kilos. And next we have Michelle Kane with 97.5. That's 214 pounds for Michelle. Yeah, Jen Thompson's bench. That's how like otherworldly she is that she can win the equipped division.
I had no idea that she was competing in pole.
Yeah.
That next level.
Yep. I think at Worlds it's not quite as competitive, but here at the national events, she's definitely the top dog in both divisions. Michelle Kane gets a start command.
And we had a green or a all white lights for Miss Melanie with 107.5 kilos.
Very nice. Great attempt for Michelle. Dawn Dotson is coming out for 102.5. That is 226 pounds, aka 2 45-pound plates. Big 2-plate bench.
You really know your kilo.
Yeah, I train on kilos.
That's insane. Like, they're just like popping these numbers out.
Yeah, I got them. I got them on lock. I mean, if we get above like I guess I would say if we get above 340, then I get a little iffy, but that's just because Bryce lifts about that much, and then beyond that I'm like I don't know.
Not the rest of it doesn't matter.
And I'm also below maybe like 100 pounds or like 45 kilos. I get a little iffy, but
that's fair.
But pretty big range of what's comfortable for me.
So we have Charlene with a solid attempt at 110 kilos, and Jennifer is about to attempt 137.
So she's benching 6 attempts in 2 divisions. She's going to bench like multiple reps over 300 pounds at like 100 and what's her body weight? Can you look at it?
She weighed in at 65 and a half. 65.
Okay. So she's a 67. She's not a 60. That would be probably pretty light for her. So so she is having a fun time because she loves to bench press. So she's just like doesn't even warm back up probably, and she just like gets ready for the next division. She does this at the Arnold too, where she does like the pro bench and then she does another bench event. And one time a couple years ago, they didn't really schedule it very well for her, and she was running back and forth benching like between the main stage and the like C pod. It was wild. So she's successful with 137.5. We have Winona on platform 2 with 102.5. Pretty tough, but she looks like she pressed it out, and it looks like it was a clean lift as long as the refs didn't see something I didn't see. Okay, cool.
Jennifer with a solid attempt at 137. All white lights.
303.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Next we have Margaret Dittman with 150 kilos on the bar. 331 pounds. I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple of them too.
331.
I know
Yeah.
a couple of
Yeah.
them too.
Good job.
I don't train as much or on kilos very often, so it's not as normal for me. Here she
See
sets
Margaret
up.
in her bench. She's in a bench shirt. You can see the sleeves that go down to her elbows, and you can see it's just a little bit harder for her to get into position because she's wearing a restrictive shirt.
You can also see that blue collar, which dictates that this is a Super Katana angled sleeve shirt, most likely.
Low cut.
Low cut.
It's the most aggressive shirt that is on the market. Oh, that was super easy for her. Wow, that was very clean.
That was easy.
Nice. That was 150, huh? Yeah.
150 kilos.
Okay. We'll see. I think she could take a 7.5 kilo jump, maybe a 10 kilo jump if she really wants to get aggressive. It looks like she's uncontested, so just getting her opener probably locks in the win for her.
Let's see. You are correct.
Tammy Walker is coming out for 125. That's 275. I think Tammy's going to make easy work of this.
We have an exciting week all the way through up until Sunday. I mean, primetime sessions, the ladies lifting this morning, later today. I mean, it is jam-packed.
Yeah, it is. There was a really, really fun day yesterday with the junior. It was youth, teen, junior nationals, and then they had a primetime session with the kind of best of the best in the junior division. And that was really fun. There was a lot of great lifting. Tammy was successful with 125 on her second attempt. Here comes Natalie Richardson. Same weight.
A solid attempt from Anne with 40 kilos on the bar. And, I mean, it was just super, super easy. She probably make a 10 kilo jump, to be very honest with you. Next, we have Serena Thomas, who needs this second attempt here, or the third to stay in the meet. She missed her opener with 77.5 kilos, which she's going to be re-attempting.
Natalie Richardson was successful with 125. Let's see. Yep, the refs say so. It looked a little hard, a little sticky, but I think she's good for one more, probably a small jump. 127.5 is what I would guess if I was her coach, unless there's some position that she's trying to jockey for, but I don't think so. And then we have May Tai coming out for 130. Her opener was a breeze, so I think she's going to have a really good time with this 130.
Good initiation of the lats from Miss Serena, and a successful attempt, it seems, from the front. We shall see what it looks like from the sides.
Yeah, that was a nice looking bench.
And waiting on the judges with all white lights. Keeps her in the meet.
Wow.
Very nice.
May Tai just stroked 130. That's 286 pounds. That's wild.
Some strong ladies we have.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
strong
I love it.
ladies.
I love it.
It's nice to see.
And then Amanda Dahl is coming out for 132.5 on her second attempt. She missed this on her opener with that funky handoff. I'm really hoping that they can clean this up and the handoff will look better. So we will see here in a second or two.
Shelly is completing her attempt right off the chest with a lot of speed, and the bar continuously moves up, and good rack command. To me, it looked like a solid, clean movement, and the refs agree. We would like to thank our sponsors, A7, Rogue, and I'm missing two.
Renaissance Periodization and SBD.
Boom. Teamwork makes the dream
Amanda is... Come on, Amanda. Yes. Okay. It looked much cleaner. We'll see if she followed the commands. Yes. Okay, great. 3 white lights for Amanda. I'm so happy to see that. So she came back after a rough first attempt that didn't even really come off her chest, and she pressed it on her second.
What I do love about this community is a lot of lifters really do help each other. Everyone's kind of, no one ever wants to see someone miss a lift, you know, which is, it's just never fun.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, no, I have a personal experience with that. Last year at Nationals, I bombed out on bench press, and after my opener, when I missed my opener, there was like a crowd of people helping me problem solve with my shirt. I was wearing a bench shirt, and there was like a crowd of really, really respectable coaches and lifter is like trying to help me figure out what to do to successfully make my next attempt, and they did that on all 3 attempts until I didn't make any. And it was such a positive experience in a negative, like I was experiencing something very negative and frustrating, and had so much support, and felt that pretty I felt that really strong sense of community in that experience. So I'm always thankful for that. And I think about that anytime I see someone struggling. I'm like, I hope that somebody's back there helping them figure this out. Like Gretchen, who needs 75 to stay in the meet here on platform 2. She's missed it on her first and her second. Her second, at least, she jumped the start command. So I really hope somebody back there practiced the commands with her and reminded her of what the rules are. We will see here.
It's part of the reason that I ended up staying in powerlifting. I feel like there's just such a good community. Good people.
Yeah. It's hard to leave.
It's hard to leave.
Gretchen, 3 white lights. It looked so easy. So she probably had a lot more in the tank today, but had to stick with 75 just because it's too risky to take a jump when you've missed the attempt. So she is in the meet with 75, and that's probably a huge relief to her.
And Elizabeth Richardson ended up completing a successful attempt at 92.5 kilos, and it was a decent pace all the way up and through the movement. Next we have Tish Home with 95 kilos. It's a 5 kilo jump. She got all white lights on her last attempt. We're looking for another good attempt here from her.
On platform 2, an American record attempt for Marie with 95.5. It's about 210 pounds. Nope, and she didn't get it. And also, you probably noticed the side spotter, I think, took it a little early. I don't think she was going to successfully press it. And so, but if she wanted to, she could make a case to the jury for a relift because she was still working, and the side spotter on her left-hand side grabbed the end of the bar. You do see that happen sometimes in powerlifting, and it's unfortunate, but it's just the nature of we're humans, right? And so there will be judgment calls that don't really align with it's easier from the outside looking in, right? You're not in the moment. You're not somebody's safety is not in your hands, so it's easy for us to critique it. But yeah, that was I always feel a little uncomfortable seeing that happen.
It is unfortunate, but I mean, I've done it to people before where I've taken somebody's bench.
I've done it.
It didn't look like it was moving. I was worried that they were going to complete the movement. And I mean, that's, if something goes wrong, especially when you have gear on, these changes happen so fast.
Things happen very fast, yeah.
And you just got to be there. So maybe they missed their attempts, but hey, at least it wasn't a competition.
Yeah, they didn't eat it in there. Yeah. So I've definitely taken the bar early from my boyfriend when he was doing heavy bench attempts, and I was the only spotter, and I just get nervous. And like before he fails it, I grab it because I'm like, I don't want you to go to your chest with this because this is more than I can deadlift. So I don't want to have to like struggle this off of you. So I just grab it, and then I get, we have a little bit of a discussion.
It definitely ends up being a discussion.
Yeah.
So it's out of love,
Yep. Misty is successful with 100. That's 220 pounds. That was a really nice third attempt. It looked hard, but not obviously not too hard because she pressed it. So it was a good call.
Melanie with a fight on that bar to get both down to her chest and on the way up. Let's see if she gets a good lift here, and she does. Very nice movement. We're going to see what her next attempt is going to be. Sometimes some of these lifters don't even take a third attempt if they feel like it's not worth it, if they are going to be competing later in the week and they've secured what they wanted to come out here and achieve. They'll go ahead and just veto that last attempt, which gives the next lifter a little extra time, which is a nice thing to do. There's a 60-minute time clock, and so some of these lifters will end up making the smallest jump possible, a 2.5 kilo jump, and it gives the following lifter a 60-second extra rest time.
Michelle Kane was successful with 102.5. That was really, really solid. It came off her chest pretty fast and then just slows down through the middle, which is pretty common for a narrower grip bench press. So that looked great. She's successful with 102.5, and hopefully she's happy with that. We have another 102.5 attempt here, and she still has her hair down, so Johnny Graham must not mind it too much. 226 pounds here on the bar.
A very fast 117.5 kilo bench from Charlene. And next we have Miss Jennifer Thompson attempting another 140 kilo bench. Second attempt for the day.
And Jen will be lifting later in the week in the full meet. I think I'm sure in the open division, and maybe not in the prime time. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how her total stacks up in the prime time, 67.5, but I would assume she's lifting in the full meet later this week. So
how do you qualify for prime time?
Well, so it sort of depends on the year, and it's sort of a judgment call based on the spots available. But there's a certain total, they have X number of spots, and they basically try to make the prime time as competitive as possible. So you will see some classes that have a lot of lifters. Like there's I think 6 or 7 women from the 67.5 kilo class in the prime time, but there's only 3 75s. So they try to find these natural breaking points where they're not going to end up kind of disadvantaging somebody who's in the main the normal session from being able to be competitive with the primetime lifters. So yeah, it sort of depends on what's available and the scheduling, but you just have to be as strong as possible. Honestly,
typically you'll have more senior lifters lift in the primetime session.
Yeah, so it's the open division only for primetime.
Very cool. That I did not know.
Yeah. And then there was a junior prime time last night, and there's no bench press prime time and there's no masters prime time, but there was a junior prime time that was an invite only last night, and there were a couple of head-to-head battles, but mostly it was one lifter from any given weight class or division. Here we have Winona with 105 on the bar. That's 231 pounds. Did Jen Thompson come out for?
Not yet. I believe either there was a misload or I wasn't watching appropriately. But now we have 140 kilos on the bar.
That's actually
that is 160.
Yeah.
That's 160 kilos on the bar. So we're still waiting on Jennifer's determination for that second attempt. And she had a 2-to-1. The head judge and her left judge gave her reds, and the side judge gave her a white. So most likely either a butt came up, head came up, something
like that. But she had a successful opener, and she maybe will.
Jumped.
Yeah.
She jumped to 142.5, so she's
not too worried about it.
Yeah, she's confident.
Jen has a lot of fun out there. It's really, really, she's super fun to watch because you can tell she just thoroughly enjoys every moment of it. She gets really fired up. She's really competitive. She's just a really awesome spirit to watch on the platform. So yeah, I'm not surprised that she's gonna just say, I'm going up. We had a plan today. I'm gonna execute that plan.
A solid 160 kilos from Margaret. Just another really good lift from her. She made a 10 kilo jump. I would probably say a 7.5 to a 5, depending on how her training's been going. Yeah. But it was, I would say about a 7.5 kilo jump would be good.
Nice. That's a really big bench. Christy is successful with 115. That's 253 pounds on her third attempt. We have Tammy Walker coming out for 127.5. She made light work of 125 on her second, so I don't think this is going to be any sort of problem. And maybe it's a PR for Tammy.
Does USAPL Nationals Bench Nationals qualify you for the Arnold?
Yes, it does. Yep. And I think it's good that we have a lot of these lifters who are in the 3 lift divisions that are competing in the bench only division, because the bench only division typically has its own national competition, and you see mostly just benchers at that meet, and you don't see a lot of 3 lifters. And so I think it's great that it's combined this year so that we get a little more exposure to that division, because it is kind of a struggle to fill out the events at the Arnold that have bench only events. I know they have a hard time with it, so that's good. And Tammy was successful with 127.5, 132.5 for Natalie Richardson. This is a really big jump. It's a 7.5 kilo jump. I think she's probably in trying to get into certain position here, or maybe hit a certain score, point score. So we'll see. No, no lift for Natalie. Sorry, shake her head. I think she she shook her head a little earlier than when she was ready to stop pressing. But yeah, no lift for Natalie. Came right off her chest and then just got stuck like there was a wall above her.
And no lift for Anne on platform number 3 either at 45 kilos. Next we have Serena Thompson, who ended up making a 5 kilo jump from 77.5 to 82.5. She's going to be attempting, I think this is a solid jump for me. 5 kilos after the last one. The last one was very smooth.
Mm-hmm. So I looked at the score sheet. Natalie Richardson was trying to overtake May Tai, this lifter here, in the 82.5 kilo class. So May Tai was successful with 130 on her second attempt. So Natalie Richardson was trying to take a third attempt that would have beat May Tai in case she missed her third attempt. But she didn't. She stroked 136.5, which is a lot.
Which is a lot.
I think it's about 300 pounds. It's an American record. I think that American record maybe was held by Daniela Mello from a 3-lift meet. So 3-lift bench attempts can function as bench only records, but the reverse is not possible. So you can't hit a bench record and have it fill the 3-lift meet records, but the other way, you can, you get it.
Because having that squat before you bench
Yes,
makes a big
it's
difference
taxing
on the amount of output you have, right?
Exactly,
so
for sure.
we expend all that ATP and that recovery, the glycogen in our tissue, and so coming back and completing a big fat bench to set a national record is quite impressive.
Yes, for sure. So it looks like she broke the 82.5 kilo American record, which actually may get beat later this week. Actually, never mind. I forgot about the divisions, the split.
What is the splits, Natalie? Educate us.
That USA Powerlifting is its own organization now.
Yes.
Natalie Richardson. So Natalie Richardson finished in second. Let's see. Where did Amanda go? Amanda was just unsuccessful with 137.5, which is 303 pounds. Just was not quite there today. We are going to take a quick break to figure out the scheduling situation and be back soon.
I am going to stay here and continue with you guys. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, I still have several lifters here on platform number 3. We have Jody Funk, who is attempting 95 kilos. Shelly Brown completed her 92.5, and then Serena with 82.5. A little bit of a wobbly 82.5 kilo bench, but she completed it nonetheless. So next we have Miss Jody Funk, which is 1 red and 1 green with the collar. The collars do weigh 2.5 kilos each, and so something we take into account whenever we are looking at our spreadsheets.
Okay, so for this session, this is all for the women's bench only division. And after this, you will see the men lightweight. Let's see, I can tell you exactly who. In session 2.
A beautiful handoff and good acceptance by Miss Jody Funk. Good touch on the chest, nice stable press, and a little bit too far back and towards the eyes. So we have seen through both practicality and through research that the best way to move that bar is up and towards the face, kind of almost in an arching path. And that's why you see these athletes sometimes will end up failing going towards their face, which is why you also have those face savers before any of our lifters get out onto the platform. When they are going through their check-ins and weigh-ins, they go ahead and put in their specific rack height and then also their face saver heights as well, to make sure that just in case that somebody does not catch it, a side spotter or something like a freak accident happens, those face savers are still there to make sure that they're okay.
Yep, it's a really important detail to have on a bench. So after this session of female bench raw and equipped, we have session 2, which starts at 1 p.m. Las Vegas time. That will be the men in 52 to 75 in both raw and equipped. So that's a pretty big range of classes. We'll have all platforms being used, all 4 platforms, and it'll be a good time.
That's a big session. 4 platforms going on. It's gonna be lots to try to keep track of.
Yeah.
So next we have Miss Tish Home with 100 kilos on the bar. Elizabeth and Jody, unfortunately, were unsuccessful in their attempts. Now we have hit the 3-digit kilo numbers. We're at 100 kilos on the bar for Trish, and here she comes.
Is Trish wearing a bench shirt?
She is wearing a bench shirt.
Okay.
And we also see a lot of chalk on a lot of these lifters' backs, and so that's just a little bit extra grip on that bench there. And sometimes it can be a little slippery, especially as we're sweating, so that extra grip helps keeps the shoulders down and retracted rather than allowing them to slip as we start coming down towards our chest. Good solid handoff, and she gets the start command. Down to the chest, nice beautiful touch, get quick press command, and unfortunately unable to complete her attempt, but was a solid attempt. We have 112.5 kilos for Melanie next. That is 1 red and 1 yellow, and a 2.5. She is an open competitor, lifting in the 67.5 kilo weight class, currently with a total of 110 kilos, hoping to go ahead and hit that 112. She is currently in 2nd place and forecasted to be in 2nd place if she completes this movement.
So this person is competing with Jennifer Thompson, I believe.
So she
67.5. Yeah.
Yes, you are correct.
So Jen really did just probably need her opener, and then she's good to go.
Next is Melanie. All the way down to the chest. She's touching those top 2 abs with beautiful touch, and
she's almost going to finish it. I think she's going to get this.
Nice. Yep. I think that's a solid attempt.
If
She
they
got
saw
an
any downward. Yeah, she got
early rack command.
Yeah,
early
she
rack
did.
command.
That was friendly. Yeah, that was a good one. Wow.
Friendly. It was all white lights from everybody. Nice.
That's
Good
great.
for her. And next we have Charlene with 122.5 kilos. She is competing in the 56 kilo weight class, and she is attempting 122.5 kilos. She is projected to win first for her weight class. It seems that she might be the only one competing in her weight class, but even then, a 56 kilo lifter lifting 122.5 kilos is a massive bench.
Monster bench.
And here we see her with that very, very big arch. You need
that's impressive, actually. It's really
insane.
impressive.
You need quite a bit of thoracic mobility to be able to do all this, and then the amount of stability that you need in the shoulder joint to be able to be this wide and have this kind of an arch is super, super impressive.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that getting into position in equipped powerlifting is sometimes some of the hardest part of it, because you're resisting this really, really intense piece of equipment on you. And so for her to be able to get her arch that high, I don't think I could do that. I think that I would feel too restricted by my bench shirt to get into that setup position. So that's really impressive to me. Is this Jen Thompson coming up?
This is Miss Jen Thompson. She missed her last attempt at 140 kilos, but did make a jump to 142.5. We did not see what exactly happened on that second attempt there, but she did get one.
I think she pressed it, but got reds, right? She got 2 reds.
She pressed it, but she got 2 reds, 1 white. I'm not exactly sure why, but she was confident enough to make that jump to 142.5 kilos.
She's just having a good time. We'll see what happens here. She's hyping up the handoff, dude. I wonder, I mean, he surely knows the legend that he's handing off for right now. Like, he's got to.
There's no way you don't
I would
know
feel
who
so
Jen
nervous.
Thompson is.
I would feel like I would probably hand off my duties to someone else.
Fangirl a little bit.
Yeah.
Just, oh,
Please,
Lord.
no. I don't want to do this. That's a lot of pressure. So we'll see here.
Good.
Okay, that's
clean handoff.
Yeah, it was really nice. I think she's
Fast
going to press
descent?
it. Yeah, she's
Oh,
going to press
my
it.
Lord, that was
If she's
cake.
kept her butt down, we'll see. Looks like a
And
good
all white
lift.
lights.
She knows.
She's got
This
it.
is Jen's.
Yeah, she always gets on
Yep,
the bench.
her
Everyone's up.
Yep. Jen's routine celebration is getting on the bench and doing a little flex and hyping up the crowd. So that was great.
We have an 8-kilo jump here from Margaret Dittman, who's going to 168, which means she's going to be setting a record on this next attempt. You can see those silver plates there, which are the half-kilo plates, which are the 1-pound plates.
What division is Margaret in?
Margaret is lifting in equipped and in junior, lifting in the 100-kilo weight class.
Okay, so there is a record up. That's awesome. 168 is a big bench.
Massive bench. For our less metric people, what is 168 kilos? Natalie, do you know?
Yes, it's about 370 to 371, something around there.
370 on the dot. Look at her go. Go follow Natalie. She is amazing at converting her kilos into pounds.
I'm your human calculator for powerlifting purposes only.
Powerlifting purposes only. That's as far as it goes.
Yep. No guarantees on anything else.
168 kilos. Here we go for Margaret.
All right, looks clean.
And there's a little bit of...
okay, it's hard to tell. It was hard to tell if she just has that short of a range of motion, right? Like from that side angle, or if she was actually finished, or if she was like struggling. So anyway, she did not get that, but I think that she's good for it. I think, sometimes when somebody knows that a record's on the line, then it gets a little scary. So anyway, we will be wrapping up here. There will be bench only awards now for the women. And then, like I said, coming back at 1 p.m. Vegas time, we will have the 52 to 75 kilo men, all age divisions, and raw and equipped. So tune back in to check out that lifting. Remember to check out liftingcast.com for a full score sheet. And then you will have the live stream here on YouTube and usapl.com/live, I believe. Okay. Thank you all
for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you, Natalie.
Yep. Bye.